his old tweets and his old comedy bits to try and destroy him. And I want to pause here just for a moment to try to, just to reflect on this. Think about how petty and empty and miserable and wretched you have to be to think in that way, where someone is offered a high-profile job opportunity and your first reaction is, oh, let's go through his old tweets to try to destroy him for no reason at all. That is the thought process of a truly demented person, but apparently there are many such people in our country today. So the bullies went to work and they dug up some old tweets and a couple of lines from a stand-up special 8 or 10 years ago, and they said the jokes were anti-gay, demanded that he apologize. Initially, I was impressed because Hart refused to apologize. He said, look, I've already apologized. I'm not going to do it again. I'm not going to keep doing this. And then he lost the job, was forced to step down. And unfortunately, as he stepped down, he apologized again, even though he'd already lost the job. But I'm sure he apologized because at this point, Kevin Hart is a movie star and he's making movies all the time. He's thinking about that. And I guess he figured that if he doesn't apologize, he might start losing those opportunities as well. Now, what were these terribly offensive anti-gay jokes? Well, the outrage seems to focus primarily on a bit from his comedy special back in 2010, where he said that he's not homophobic, but he doesn't want his son to be gay. And then he talked about the fear that he experiences when he sees his son playing with feminine toys or acting in a feminine way. So I think there are basically two ways of interpreting a bit like that. The first way is we could say it's a joke. He's a comedian. He's telling a joke. The whole point of the joke is that he's saying something that's not considered appropriate in modern society. It's offensive to many people, or to some people anyway. And that's the joke. That's the whole point of the joke. It's a joke. He's telling a joke. He's a comedian telling a joke. That's what comedians do. That's one way of looking at it. That I think is the correct way of interpreting it. The other way to look at it, if you are intent on taking it seriously and not as a joke, in that case, he is a person, a parent, honestly sharing his own desires and preferences for his son. He's honestly talking about what he personally wants for his child. And I think even if you look at it that way, it's still incredibly stupid to be outraged because it's just his opinion. Is he not entitled to have his own views about about parenting and his own priorities and preferences for his family? Maybe he really wants his son to get married and have children so the family line is carried on. It's a really normal thing for a father to want. Is he not allowed to desire that? Or maybe, he's listened to the left claiming that gays are bullied and persecuted in our country, and he doesn't want that for his child. Whatever his reason, that's his opinion. It's his view. Now, what if he had said one of his fears is that he doesn't want his son to date a white woman? As a black man, he doesn't want his son dating a white woman. What if that was the joke that he had made? We would be able to look at it in two ways. Number one, we could say it's just a joke. He's telling a joke. He's a comedian. Or two, we could say he's being honest. He's sharing how he feels, what he wants for his family. And either way, there's no reason to take offense. It would make no sense for me to be offended as a white person. It would make no sense for me to say, how dare you have your own preferences and priorities in relation to your own son? It's none of my business. If that's what he wants for his son, then whatever. But of course, I talk about outrage. I use that word metaphorically, really, because there is rarely any real outrage in this country. Outrage is now just perfunctory. I mean, did anyone really care about Kevin Hart's stand-up bit from 8 years ago?